Even though drivers drive at over 200 miles per hour week after week, there have been some pretty big scandals in NASCAR. From wins taken away, to drivers cheating, to teams putting illegal parts on race cars, it's everything you can think of, and much, much more. Like in 1961 in the Jacksonville 200, Wendell Scott, he became the first African-American driver to ever win a NASCAR Cup Series race. But unfortunately, it was marred by a controversial incident. Despite crossing the finish line in first place, Scott's win would not immediately be acknowledged due to a scoring error. NASCAR officials declared Buck Baker as the winner, but after careful review, it was evident that Scott had indeed secured a victory. However, the acknowledgement of his triumphant win was delayed because of his skin color. Back then, NASCAR was a historically white sport, and to have an African-American driver win was something NASCAR thought would be bad for their image. During the 2020 NASCAR season, NASCAR presented Wendell Scott's family with a custom trophy commemorating his victory in 1961. During Speed Weeks during the 2007 season, Michael Waltrip, owner and driver for Michael Waltrip Racing, faced a huge significant controversy. During the Daytona 500 qualifying, Michael Waltrip had an illegal substance in the engine intake manifold. NASCAR penalized Waltrip and his team heavily for this violation. This penalty included fines, point deductions, and suspensions for key team members on the 55 car. Putting jet fuel in a race car is something crazy to even fathom, but Michael Waltrip and his team somehow tried to pull it off and it failed unsuccessfully. This incident marked a challenging period for Michael Waltrip and his team, but they eventually worked to overcome these setbacks and won a couple races and made the chase in the following years to come. But it was in 2013 when their entire team went downhill forever. During the 2013 Richmond race, the final race to make the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Clint Bowyer spun on purpose and intentionally brought out a caution to help his teammate Martin Truex Jr. gain more spots to eventually make the chase. Other teammate Brian Vickers was also called down pit road to surrender his spot for more points for Martin Truex. Ultimately, huge fines were handed out to the team, which was ultimately their demise and the eventual shutdown of Michael Waltrip Racing.
Now, MWR was busted for actions detrimental to stock car racing. All three cars, the 15, the 55, and the 56, penalized with 50 driver and owner points. These points penalties were assessed after Saturday night's race and will not impact the chase seating. Now, MWR has also been fined $300,000. Vice President and General Manager Ty Norris has been suspended indefinitely, and all three crew chiefs are on probation.
Yeah, we're going to pit. We're going to pit.
What?
Yeah,
I don't understand. Pit right now?
Green flag. Got to pit this time. We need that 1 point.
Pit for, so I got a tire going down?
Yes.
Former CEO and chairman of NASCAR, Brian France, was rumored through his entire career of being the NASCAR CEO to be on drugs or taking illegal substances. Well, the controversy centered around the arrest on August of 2018 in New York. Brian France was charged with driving under the influence and criminal possession of controlled substances. The arrest raised concerns about his leadership and prompted NASCAR to announce that he'd be taking an indefinite leave of absence. Following this incident, Brian France faced criticism not only from the legal issues, but also his management style and decisions during his tenure at NASCAR. During the 2009 All-Star race, NASCAR discovered that the engine in Carl Long's number 46 car had exceeded the 358 cubic inch limit imposed by NASCAR regulations. The infraction was considered a serious violation, and as a result, Carl Long received severe penalties. He was suspended from NASCAR for competition for 12 races. Long was also suspended from NASCAR until August 18, 2009. He was fined over $200,000, which was one of the largest fines in NASCAR history at that time, and his race team lost 200 owner points. The penalties were substantial and had a significant impact on Carl Long's ability to compete in NASCAR. The fine, suspension, and loss of points were controversial and sparked discussions about the severity of the punishment. Long and his team faced financial challenges as a result of these penalties. So there's a rule in NASCAR that nobody likes, and it's passing somebody below the yellow line. Well, the rule is if you're avoiding a crash, you're allowed to go down there. Carl Edwards went down below the yellow line during the Bud shootout to avoid a crash. He lost positions and NASCAR still black flagged him. He was extremely upset. He ended up parking his car, not finishing the race, and was called to the NASCAR hauler after the race.
He tried not to get out of line, but the 11 got in under him. They were telling him to wave everybody off, and then he tried to get around Tony Stewart. And we got everybody trying to pit and go around people.
Trying not to wreck. Carl Edwards, the 99 car, had no place to go. They all started slowing up in front of him. And
Bill, they just told him over the radio that he will have to make a pass through. He said, for what? They said, you passed below the yellow line. He said, I was trying to avoid the crash. And then his spotter, Bobby Hudson, chimed in and said, I'm sure other cars passed us because we slowed down. We'll have to take a look at the tape.
that's what it looked like to me. Let's take a look at it. But everybody slowed up in front. You see him on the bottom there. Now these guys are all slowing down. All Carl Edwards is doing right there is avoiding a wreck. He did not gain any position. He lost position. By doing that, he lost 3 positions. I do not understand that one.
Another controversial win is Greg Biffle's 2007 Kansas race. I'm probably going to make a video on this race because this race was chaotic to say the least. Anyway, a rule in NASCAR is you must maintain speed with the pace car. If you do not, and you fail to, and somebody passes you, you will lose that position. When coming to the start-finish line, Greg Biffle runs out of gas. He is then passed by several cars. But it was already the final lap. Darkness was coming, and NASCAR just wanted to end the race. So they didn't care, and they continued to give the win to Greg Biffle when it should have been given to second place.
You know, I've never seen a driver cross the start-finish line, then turn around and go back the other way. I think I'd have made another lap, just to make sure.
Well, the field is frozen. You see all these guys moving around each other. The field has already been frozen. As long as these cars just drive across the line, they're going to freeze them where they were. Greg just pulls down and all these other guys passing, but he's still the winner.
Jerry, it's very interesting coming to the start-finish line the last time, though. I know you and the 07 were sort of interested in whether or not the 16 might be the victor.
Yeah, he was clearly out of gas. I feel terrible for Greg. He's been working so hard to win a race and is up there in position to win it. But if you don't maintain pace car speed, you don't hold your position. And it was clear to everyone that he couldn't do it. If he could have, he would have stayed on the bumper of the pace car to the finish line. So, in my opinion, where he coasted across the finish line relative to the other cars that can maintain pit road speed is where he should finish.
What are your thoughts right now?
I don't know what to think. I thought you at least had to finish on your own power across the finish line. I don't know if we were supposed to wait on him or what we were supposed to do, but...
You see here I'm waving. I'm a happy camper. I just won the race. And I crossed the finish line, and I'm waving to the fans, and I'm elated, and boom! She blows all to pieces. It just proves one thing. It's better to be lucky than good.
Lucky than good, that definitely is a stretch. Everybody knows Junior Johnson does not play by NASCAR's rules and makes his own rules. It's widely known that that engine that Darrell Waltrip ran in that Winston race was highly illegal, and it was made to blow up right after he crossed the line. No penalties were handed out as Waltrip allegedly passed post-race inspection with a blown engine. If you're a Hendrick Motorsports fan, you already know this story. Ray Evernham brought Jeff Gordon one of the most illegal cars in NASCAR history that wasn't illegal just yet. Apparently, Ray Evernham worked around the rulebook so well, it passed inspection, but that car became illegal after the race that Jeff Gordon won.
It ran one race, it dominated that race, and was banned by NASCAR. Gary Nelson at that time, or Buster, can't remember which one, said to me, Mr. France wants to see you. So I said, I thought he wanted to congratulate me. Bill and I were friends, I was gonna go up the truck, yeah, good race tonight, Bill, kind of whatever. So he says, he's sitting there, and he says, sit down. He said, you need to pick up that phone right there and call your boss and tell him that car's illegal. And I was like, what? No, they just said it was past inspection. I said, he said, no, it's illegal. I said, no, sir. We built that car by the rules. It's 100% legal by the rule book. And he said, it won't be tomorrow.